This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, don't forget to join my Instagram Live every Thursday night at 8:45 p.m. Jody, why such an odd time? Well, folks, I'll tell you, because I'm a dad. And 5 nights a week, it's dad's taxi service, going back and forth to school for athletic events and musicals and music and all kinds of things. So 8:45, I'm finally free. So join me on my Instagram handle, my personal one, at Jody Fisher on Instagram. We do 15 minutes. It's just a quickie before we all go to bed, at least before I go to bed. And we talk about PR. We play our game called Why Is That News? Where I grab a story out of my local paper and I try to dissect it, and we try to look at it as PR people and figure out what went into reporting it, why they decided to report on it, and maybe what the PR person involved, if there was one, had to pitch and had to deliver to make this a successful story in the paper. So all of that, Instagram Live at Jody Fisher, 8:45 every Thursday night. Please join us there. Now on with our show for today. We got a great guest. Liz Reilly is a senior manager at NextPR based in Denver, Colorado. She won the Rising Star 30 Under 30 award from PRNews a few years ago. She was named Grand Prize finalist for Ragan's Media Relations Professional of the Year as well. Her bread and butter is getting home run media placements for clients, including strategy for launches, funding announcements, and thought leadership for her technology companies that she represents. Liz, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Thanks so much, Jody. Appreciate the introduction.
Oh, yeah, you bet. Now, we spoke with your CEO, Heather Kelly, back in episode 119 a couple of years ago as well. How have things been at NextPR since then?
Great to hear. Love Heather. Things have been good. We did a client survey a few months ago just to kind of gauge our clients and the landscape. I know it's been a unique, difficult economy, so we just wanted to make sure we were hearing from our clients and providing the best PR services as possible. And something that came from that survey that was interesting for the first time, our clients rated brand awareness as a top priority over sales and new customers. So that's interesting because in the history of the survey, sales has always been a top priority for our clients. And to see the shift of our clients wanting help increasing their brand awareness in different media platforms, that's just cool to see. Like, people understand PR, people understand it's not all about sales and about having a positive, consistent brand reputation. So that's been cool. Heather's been working on the survey and helping us make sure we're delivering our clients with the best tactics that we can to help increase their brand awareness. And something else that came from the survey that I thought was interesting was clients want to work more with influencers. And Heather actually posted on her LinkedIn today, 1 in 5 Americans are getting their news from influencers, which is like, it's cool but crazy at the same time that people are really trusting influencers with their news sources. So that was another takeaway in the survey, that folks want to work more with influencers in 2025. And that's also neat to see that organizations are open to trying new things this year versus just sticking to traditional online and print media. So those were 2 things that we found interesting in a survey that's been important to us this year.
I will give you credit for just sending out a survey to clients. That in itself is an act of bravery, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so many, because our natural instinct as humans, I think, and this goes back to like movies or reviewing restaurants, people typically only give reviews when they're going to complain about something.
So
So
true. It's interesting because in the media landscape, and this was something I was excited to talk to you about in a little bit, but data is huge with reporters, but it's also huge for our clients. Like, if we don't have that firsthand feedback, we can't really gauge as a business top priorities for our clients. So I'm with you. It is a very neat, rare thing we do at NextPR. So I'm grateful we have that data firsthand.
that's awesome. And great insights there too, that brand awareness and brand I guess maybe my words here, respect
Mhm.
and brand authority are rising to the top because I think you tell me, but that's what I preach about public relations. That's the most effective thing you do, more than just getting the hits and getting the story or being on TV or being in the paper. It's about what that and all the other publicity does for you as a brand and in
Mhm.
terms of encouraging people to engage with you, to do the thing you're asking them to do. How do you go about communicating that with clients?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I stress the importance and I think about it from like a hiring perspective. A lot of our clients talk about how they want to hire new talent. And then the biggest thing I tell them is you need to have a social media presence. People are going to stalk those pages before they want to work for a company. And Glassdoor is a service we also offer at NextPR where we're monitoring companies' Glassdoor reviews and providing our clients recommendations on how they should respond to a negative review. Because to your point, yeah, brand reputation is huge. It impacts hiring, it impacts sales, it impacts investors. So you need to make sure all of your avenues are as clear and positive as they can be.
Well, those are great observations. But we also know that it can be tough to draw things out of clients to get that publicity, right? It's one thing to hear them say we're really into we're really into brand awareness. But how do you make news when clients don't have anything to promote, right? There are those times where things are quiet or things are dry, or maybe clients just aren't that inventive. What are you doing with your clients in those
Yeah,
times?
it's such a good question because I would say the average client only has a handful of announcements per year. So then think about all the other weeks that you need to do something on the PR front. So I have a few approaches to that question. One, I can't stress enough just having a genuine brainstorm with the spokespeople at your client organization. That's where I get my best sound bites from CEOs where I ask them for their hot take on a controversial matter or just their opinion on how their industry is doing. And after those brainstorm calls, you always leave with great sound bites that can then be featured in articles or social media. And another strategy that's one of my favorites, it's called rapid response or trend jacking. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but it's when breaking news happens in a certain industry and you already have those quotes from the brainstorm I just mentioned, and you can give a reporter a quote in an hour or two and make national news. Like that's the best part about it when you're able to like full circle see it through from a brainstorm to a national media placement by moving quick. So that's one answer I have to your question. And then another answer I have, I know we talked about data at the beginning of this podcast, but anytime a client can compile any type of data related to their industry, that's like the gift that keeps on giving. I've seen reporters use data at the beginning of the year, throughout the whole year. And it's just a great way to help reporters out and add credibility to the stories and get a backlink to your client's website when they source the data in their stories.
Yeah, being able to move quickly can really make or break in certain types of PR situations. And
Mhm.
having done the homework in advance so that you're ready, even accidentally, for that kind of opportunity is really important. But it also takes a lot of forethought on our part to be talking with the client. Do you explain that to the client? Do you say, hey, not only we're trying to create something here, but we can also save this for when X happens?
Definitely. I feel like you always have to explain the why to clients these days. Everyone's time is so valuable. So every time I get on the call with a C-suite member, I'm explaining like, this is why we're doing this. This is what's going to come from it. And I think they appreciate that because it's not just for one story. It's going to be used for multiple stories, their social media. There's a lot of avenues that their commentary will be used for.
Little expectation management there as well. How do you
Yep.
navigate that?
Yeah, that's a good, it's a good question. You have to let them know like New York Times isn't going to happen overnight, right? Like we got to reach out to them a few times, make sure the story is like a perfect fit. So when it comes to expectations, I let them know like this isn't going to happen overnight, but having this information is going to better the chances of the home run coverage that you're looking for. this year.
So working with those members of the C-suite, regardless of industry, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that a lot of them probably think, even if they grasp what we do well, they
Hmm.
still probably think of just traditional media, right? Newspaper, radio, TV. And
Yep.
you and I both know there's a lot other outlets beyond that. Let's talk a little bit about how the media landscape is changing, the sort of the new avenues that might be growing or constantly shifting, and how you're helping to insert your clients into those. What opportunities are you helping them take advantage of?
Yeah, it's such an important topic. And I've never seen the media landscape change as fastly as it is this year in my career. So it's exciting, it's new, it's fun. But a few points to that question. One, I would say traditional media, it's somewhat fading out. Today, it got announced that TechCrunch got sold from Yahoo. So there's going to be more layoffs with one of the top tech publications in the industry. So I'm all about being transparent with our clients. If TechCrunch is a home run publication, you need to let them know, like, hey, they're going through some structural changes. I would recommend you really focus on posting on your LinkedIn and making sure your CEO has a presence on LinkedIn and giving like a recommendation of where they should focus their efforts during a time where their home run media outlet is going through structural changes. I also tell clients that now their target audiences are all over the place, right? You have people loyal to traditional media, but you also have new target audiences on the TikToks, on Substack, on podcasts. So to see the most ROI from your PR efforts, I really do believe you need a mix of all the different media that's out there today. And you need a PR firm to help guide the way on what is worth your time and what is not worth your time. And how I go about explaining that to clients is here's where a significant amount of your target audience is. And this is why we need to spend some time on this media platform. So it's all about education, expectation setting, and being transparent.
So much of what we do is being that guide to our clients, right? And that's what we get. That's part of what we get hired for, is to help them
Mhm.
navigate the spaces, the media spaces that they want to be in, and sort of make heads or tails of things like why this belongs in this outlet versus that outlet, that reporter versus this reporter, et cetera. And the TechCrunch example there is a great one. How much can clients help themselves by do something as simple as following a TechCrunch on LinkedIn, or just sort of being in tune a little bit themselves, not expecting them to do the work, but maybe just having a greater awareness. Do you encourage them to do that?
I do. I actually have a client example where he has done a fantastic job fostering a relationship with a reporter at Forbes. And it's solely just from engaging on LinkedIn, responding to her posts. So, yeah, I'm a big proponent of that. Not everyone has the time, but now that Forbes reporter is always in his inbox asking for quotes to support stories she's working on. So, I do think in this big tech world, it does go a long way if you're making personal connections on your social media platforms to the reporters you're hoping to work with.
And I don't think a lot of clients really either get that or appreciate that. That
Right.
yes, I mean, it may sound like we're talking ourselves out of a job here, but but how they can actually do that. And I think that's especially important if you're at the startup end or the smaller business end of the business spectrum. If you're a Fortune 500, well, sure, maybe Forbes is going to want to come calling, but if you're a small business, there are small business reporters out there too, and they want to engage with people the same way, right?
Mhm. And that's such a good point because even the example I mentioned, he's like a small private company in Colorado Springs. So no big Fortune 500. So it does go a long way if you put the effort in.
There you go. There you go. Some advice for the C-suite and then the small business owners out there as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
You were talking just before about the new mediums, right? Are there go-tos for you now? And maybe you want to run them down by industry and sort of draw a straight line from an industry to different publications. But can we get a little breakdown from you about sort of either the outlets that are growing the outlets that are emerging, the outlets that you're looking at saying, hey, here's an opportunity. This is going to be big in 6 months, a year, or this is one we have to pay
Definitely.
attention to?
Well, this one's good for you. I'm a big proponent of podcast. I've had healthcare clients and architecture clients both see direct, immediate ROI from being on a podcast. The healthcare client closed new clients. The architecture client was invited to speak to big conferences that were important to them. So, podcasts, I think, are fantastic. I'm seeing a lot of good immediate ROI from folks after they're on. And they give you, what, 30 to 45 minutes of content that can be used for your pitching, for your social media. So, there's a lot of good that comes from them. The other I would say is video content. I'm a TikToker myself, but I love short video content. It's crazy to think when I first started in PR, I was reading these like long online articles that were like 5 pages. And now we're in a world where you get a 30-second clip on a social media platform and you can get the information you need in a short amount of time. So that's something I've been telling clients, that video content is what is resonating, especially with the younger audiences. So I would say podcasts, TikTok, anything with video, those are top of mind for me right now.
It can be tough to talk clients into getting in front of the camera, though. Do you
Definitely.
have any secret tips or tricks about how you explain the value of it to them and sort of cajole them into saying it's going to be all right? You know, we can edit this, we can we can
Yep.
make this look the way you want and not make you look like a fool.
Yes, you really have to hype up the confidence that they're going to be okay and that they're an expert on the topic they're speaking to. But I would just highlight the metrics, the viewership happening on these videos. Any direct ROI to sales is helpful. But I had a client who was nervous and she was releasing a planner, and we just gave her like, this is the perfect space. Like, it's a motivational planner, and that's what people want to hear on TikTok, like tips for dealing with tough situations. So, yeah. So it was funny because after months of convincing her, she finally did it and she's crushing it and seeing results. So that's neat to see. So to answer your question, I would just say you got to prep the client, give them some confidence boost, give them some talking points, and then just update them with the reporting that you're seeing on any social media platform so they know that it's worth their time.
Yeah, they do love seeing those metrics, right?
Yep, yep,
Vanity or otherwise, they love
yep.
seeing that.
Agreed.
Um, but putting someone in front of a camera like that, um, has also got to make them feel maybe in a way unsafe, right? And I feel like that's where CEOs and leaders and business owners, I feel like that's what they want. They want to be somewhere they can be safe and they
Hmm.
can be in control. And social media and even podcasts to a degree are sort of unsafe spaces. That may be a bad phrase, but you get where I'm going, right?
Hmm.
How do you explain to them that um, being unsafe is A, sort of part of the gig, and
Hmm.
B, that unsafe doesn't mean dangerous?
Mm. Yeah, it's a good question. I would say if folks were really concerned about it, potentially leveraging other spokespeople that might be more comfortable is one avenue. And then if you're a company that has a product, maybe you could use influencers to post the video content for you. So those are like two solutions. But another thing, Heather, my CEO, and I have talked about is the power of the executive voice right now. So again, you would have to educate the executive who's nervous of the people want to hear from you. Like, the brand name they don't want to hear from. They want to hear directly from the executive who's impacting a certain industry. So I would just do some more education. And if that isn't cutting it, yeah, we will pivot to another spokesperson. We will leverage some influencers. We'll go to plan B.
It's always good to have multiple voices, I think, out there from an organization.
Oh, yeah, that's something I really believe in. I feel like a company looks more credible to a potential customer, to investors, when they have 3 to 5 solid spokespeople in the press, because then oh, it's not just the CEO with the brain behind this company. So the more the merrier, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, take Apple as an example, right? Those Apple events used to be all Steve Jobs. And it'd be
Hmm.
Steve standing up there for 3 hours on a stage unveiling the latest whiz bang products. And I think under um, Tim Cook, it's become like a cast of characters kind of thing, right? And
Hmm.
we've got all these multi. I mean, look, I'm a geek. I actually watch these things,
Hey, not a
but
geek. It's good information.
they become entertaining, right?
Yep.
And so now you've got like multiple people who are all the voice of Apple speaking about their own different subject matter areas. I think it's a great model to use with
Yep.
any other client to say, hey, you can have multiple people talking about their areas of expertise, and together you present this image of here's who we are as a company.
Definitely. And it just helps with PR opportunities. You might have a CEO who doesn't want to comment on cybersecurity, but you have the perfect chief information officer who's like ready to talk about that yesterday. So it gives you a lot of options for what you can do with PR content, which is great.
Love that. Well, I can see why your clients love you so much, and I can see why you're so successful over there at NextPR. Liz, thanks so much for sharing all this information with us today.
Thanks, Jody.
We are not done yet with you, however. We are going to pivot now into the rapid fire question portion of our podcast. This is where we steal a page from inside the actor's studio. We ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions. I have to ask you, Liz, as a young person, is that analogy lost on you inside the
Uh,
actor's studio?
yes, it's a little lost, but I'm here
Ah!
for it.
All right, just doing a little Gen X reality check
Yeah.
there for me. All right, so for those of you in the listening audience who are like Liz and have no idea what I'm talking about, Inside the Actor Studio was a PBS show. It was an interview
Gotcha.
show, and
Okay.
it interviewed well-known actors and up-and-coming actors, and there's a whole YouTube channel dedicated to it. Between that and The West Wing, it's sort of badges of honor here for Gen X, among many other things.
West Wing,
Um,
I do know.
there you go. There you go. But they had a segment on Inside the Actors Studio at the end of the show where they would ask a series of rapid fire questions. And they sometimes got even a little raunchy, and they were always a little bit different. But we do the same five here every time on the PR podcast. And these
Love
are
it.
meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. So with your indulgence, Liz Reilly of Next PR, let's begin with rapid fire question number one. What is your favorite news source?
Ooh, I would say right now I'm loving Axios. They do a great newsletter, and like I told you, like condensed news. So I'm going Axios on that answer.
This is a golden time for political reporters.
Oh,
There is
yes.
no,
Uh, Yeah,
there's
every day
so
is
much.
changing, and I feel for them because I don't know how they keep up, and
Oh,
but they do.
crazy, just crazy. Rapid fire question number two for you, Liz. What's your favorite social media platform?
Ooh, I told you this already, but TikTok. I love the visual, video, short content, so I'm a big TikTok person.
I think it is head and shoulders above all other social media platforms right
Agree.
now.
Yep.
Rapid fire question number three, coffee or alcohol?
Ooh, I'm a coffee girl. I'm a big black coffee or espresso. Those are my go-tos.
You want to drop some Colorado brands there? Where are you getting your coffee?
Oh, I wish it was something local, but it's just Nespresso.
Very good. Whatever does the job. Rapid fire question number four. Here's where we might get some local flavor. What's your favorite on the run food?
Ooh, on the run food. That's a good question. Ooh, man. Oh, okay, you got me. There's all these great breakfast burrito spots in Colorado, so big fan of that.
I was hoping you would come through with the Colorado
Yeah.
breakfast
You
burrito.
had me thinking though. It's hard to be put on the spot with food questions.
Good stuff. And rapid fire question number five, Liz. What do you want to be after you finish this career?
Oh man, I want to be a retired ski bum. That is the goal. I just love skiing, so I would love just to be able to ski in my free time when I'm older.
Sounds good, Liz. This has been a great conversation. Please let people know how they can find you online.
Definitely go to nextpr.com to learn more about NextPR, and then LinkedIn, Liz Reilly at NextPR. That's where you can find me personally.
We will put all the links in the show notes. Liz, thanks for joining us again. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Apple. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.